Hello, Raven fans, Orioles fans. How are we today? So we are live right now. We're going ahead. We're going to start the recording. Hat looking crazy. So we are going to go ahead and record today's video. So thank you very much for joining us. However, you're joining us on our many platforms, our Facebook, whether it's at YouTube, which is our mainstream, which we record, which we go ahead and show these on. So thank you very much. Definitely check out our other platforms as well. Our Bravery Sports YouTube. Oh, I mentioned YouTube. The Twitter page, also to our TikTok page or Instagram. So we also show all of our content on there as well. Also, too, check us out here pretty soon. Here, we're going to go ahead and start with merchandise. So our Ravens and all those merchandise is going to be for sale pretty soon. Look for that in January for sure, where the full store will be open. But very soon, I'm gonna go ahead and give you my information where I can reach that if you are looking for stuff before then. So you can reach out to me via email. All right, so let's go. So let's go ahead and start today. And thank you. Welcome to Bravery Sports. Let's make that official. And we're gonna review the game we just had on Sunday. There is the score. Ravens were successful. Ravens winning 19-16 in the game. Very tough, close, tight divisional game. Really was. Not all of these are going to be pretty. Not all of these games are going to be close. They're going to be close. Not all of these games are going to be pretty. Not all of these games are going to be filled with, I guess, a lot of statistical brilliance or anything like that, a lot of passing yards or anything like that. Not a lot of that stuff, but it was a tight, close divisional game. So excellent victory by the Ravens, doing what they had to do. The React video I had is I'll take it. And you got to win games like this. Close, tight divisional games at home. Have to have it. They had the GOAT at halftime with Nelly, Ray Lewis. And they had the GOAT at the end of the game, Justin Tucker, going ahead and doing his thing, winning the game with the game-winning field goal. Lamar, that was his day that he had. He was 19 for 32, 174, 1 TD, 1 interception, 12 attempts, 58 yards. So he had a good day when he needed it. The rushing yards, the total wasn't his highest of the year, but definitely at the end of the series, but at the end when he needed to go in for the game-winning field goal, that's when he was brilliant in the run game. That's exactly when he needed it. Passing, not his best day at all, but again, efficient. He does not, as a passer, as much criticism as he seems to get for whatever reason at this point. He very much is a good decision maker. Usually, even with the one pick, usually when he gets an interception, it's usually the ball was just thrown. He didn't. When he has that, usually he airmails it. Sometimes he has a habit of doing that, like just overthrowing a ball because he throws it on the line a lot. But I thought he was effective. This guy, Andrews, we'll shift to Andrews here. 8 catches, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. Andrews, as usual, was fantastic. Andrews, it doesn't ever seem to matter. I think I've said this before, what type of day Lamar's having. Andrews has a decent day, regardless. Andrews goes to where Lamar is on the field, makes his catches, and Andrews is outstanding in the red zone. I think he is maybe only Travis Kelce is better than him in the red zone as far as a tight end in the league. When he actually gets down near the 20, that's where even knowing that they're going to throw to him, he has a great day. Bateman did not play in this one, and it showed. Their pass game is not as nearly as effective without Rashard Bateman. I think I've said that before, but I saw that in preseason, I saw that in this game, and I've seen that even when he left. when they're going their pass game and then long, it really is effective without Bateman. So hopefully Bateman will get to play in the next game, but it definitely shows, I think, when Bateman doesn't play. JK, I think, is underutilized. 8 attempts rather, 44 yards, over 5 yards a carry. But again, it seems like they went away from him. For some reason, they put Kenyon Drake in. I think Drake had a decent enough day. I mean, he looked better in this one than he did in the other ones. I mean, better offensive line play as well. But I think he's underutilized. I like to see JK more in the bell cow phase where he's getting 15, 20 carries in a game where they kind of go back to him and make him a bigger part of the offense, where they're kind of just pulling him in and out all the time. He looks fine to me as far as it looks like his explosion. He's like making people miss. But again, they're kind of just using him for 8 carries, 10 carries. I like to see him get more carries. Mention the offensive line. Stanley finally made his appearance. It's almost had to laugh when actually we saw him this year. So he finally made in. Even Mike Tirico didn't believe he was going to stay. He was reading the body language on the sideline. Well, it doesn't look like a guy who's going to come. So they had him on a rotation with Patrick McCary, which is fine because he hadn't played so long to go ahead and get a rotation in. So I thought Stanley looked fine, especially for his first game. Got to kind of ease him in. I think that's understandable. But he played. This guy was phenomenal on defense. Marcus Peters, he blew up that Philly special. He was covering Jamar Chase the majority of the game. I thought he was great. We mentioned Ray Lewis, the energy. This guy is not Ray Lewis on the field in terms of talent, but he's certainly in terms of talent, in terms of energy, in terms of being a guy who brings passion to the game and brings passion to the field. This is Marcus Peters. This is the element they were kind of missing with him when he didn't play last year. You know, he's previous game fighting with Harbaugh, yelling about stuff, and this is what you need on a team. You need a guy like this with this type of element, with this type of passion for the game. So I thought Marcus Peters was tremendous on defense, best defensive down the field. Switch to the Bengals. Joe Burrow, 24, 35, 217, 1 TD, 1 pick in this one. Burrow was okay. His line's not good. It's amazing he's been able to do what he's done without the protection that he has. The Ravens really looked like they were pushing around the Bengals, and he had a decent day in spite of it. Joe Burrow's pretty good. So this is going to be a matchup we're going to see a lot in the coming years with Lamar and Burrow being in the same division. I thought they did a good job against him. As a whole, they played a lot more conservative this time. I thought last year, though, I mean, it's worth repeating, our DBs got destroyed by Joe Burrow, period. No other way to. In the first game, everybody mentioned, I saw a lot the second game where he had like 500 yards and he had a ton of injuries. In the first game, it was almost as bad, even with Humphrey and those guys in there. So much better. I thought they played conservative. Good game that was called, I thought, by McDonald. Again, a running back that was underutilized. Joe Mixon, 14 attempts, 78 yards. And I was kind of confused why he didn't get more. I mean, again, he's a guy, too, like, if he doesn't get this is not just the Raiders and the Bengals. You're seeing this around the league. Like, they almost forget, to give a running back 20 carries. See this a lot in the game. Like, they can't remember, hey, you have a running back in there that you can use. Team gets behind it all, and they just throw all the time. So that's kind of what it is. I thought this guy is very good. I think they did very well against him. Ravens were pretty stout at the point of attack generally in this one. We were so worried about the receivers. I think this is the best receiving group in the NFL that the Bengals have, with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. And this guy here, Hayden Hurst, a former first-round pick, was the guy with the best day. Six receptions, 53 yards, 1 TD. Thought he was the guy that really took advantage of, because they really were paying a lot of attention to receivers. Chase got a lot of attention. But Hurst, this is what he can do uh, when he's given the opportunity. He's starting on a lot of teams. He's just not better than Mark Andrews, who I think is a top three tight end in the NFL. So good to see Hurst having an opportunity, even though it was against the Ravens in this particular game. Logan Wilson, I've been banging on all season the Bengals back seven, not so much their D line, which is I think is pretty good, but the back seven really isn't. But this guy is the exception, Logan Wilson, all over the field. He's solid every week. I think every week that I've seen him. But I think the Ravens were just too much for them. He doesn't have enough help there. That's what I kind of see a little more. He doesn't have enough help. I think the corners and DBs are very overrated. Jesse Bates is one of the most overrated players in the league. Von Bell's been decent this year for them. The corners, I don't like them at all. I think that's kind of where they're in this Bateman, because I think they've been able to take advantage of their corners, Hilton, and I have trouble pronouncing it, but they would have taken advantage of that. So this is a tough win, division win. I think this is kind of for now replaced the Steelers for us as games like this. This is going to be two teams probably in the playoffs fighting for playoff position, and you get the win. So everything again is not going to be artistic, and got to win these type games against good teams. And you're in first place by yourself, Raven fans. So be happy about that. So that's awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and move to this. So we reviewed the Bengals game. Let's go ahead and review the game that we're going to have on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. So this is the second game, rather, that the Ravens are going to have in MetLife. So they played the Jets in week 1. This week they're going to play the Giants. So the Giants are maybe the most surprising team in the NFL. They're 4-1. So they are winning. They have a better record than the Ravens. They are very good. Have a brand new coach down in Dayball. They're very good running the football. And let's go ahead and take a look at the Giants. Now, this is an area I think of concern why everybody thinks he's so despicable. Daniel Jones, looking at his stats for the year, he was 848, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions over the first 5 games. So this is what Daniel Jones has done. They're not going to be taken seriously with this guy as quarterback. You're just not. Daniel has a lot of physical ability. I can see it. I can see why an NFL team would draft this guy so high, even though he played at Duke. He's a big guy. He has some physical abilities. He seems like, not to get too nerdy of a football term, but like spastic. At times, he just doesn't do what his physical ability allows him to do. What would allow him to do. He's kind of like a couple years ago, he had that run wide open and he falls down, or he throws, inconsistent. I think is maybe a more better way, best way to describe Daniel Jones. Although they've kind of smartly, I think, taken the ball out of his hands a little bit here. They've kind of given it to this guy here, Saquon, who's having an outstanding year. I think he's second in the NFL in rushing yards. Everybody's forgotten how good he is when healthy, because he's really struggled with his health the last couple of years. This guy is phenomenal out of the backfield. Saquon has really been dominant for them. They've given him a lot of carries, and what we talk about with J.K. Dobbins, this is what it looks like. Bell cow, guy who's running the ball effectively, getting his team in games, turning down the clock, trying to overcome the quarterback situation, etc. He's probably their best receiver as well out of the backfield. So Saquon is incredible. Had a good season for them. So they're going to put a lot of emphasis on Saquon because I think he is easily the best weapon. They're missing a lot of receivers that they counted on. So Kenny Golladay hasn't really played much. Sterling Shepard, I'm not sure if he's out for the year, but he really hasn't played much at all. So they have really relied. This has been the guy, Richie James, has been the best offensive player as far as receiving yards. 17 catches, 171 yards, like average about 10 yards a catch. I would think they're going to put Peters or Humphrey on him, and I think that that would actually get the job done there. I would expect more man-to-man in this game. I think they would feel a little more confident playing man-to-man because they don't have the explosiveness on offense. So they're going to do a lot of power in this one because that's their style, little NFL, NFC East style. Looks like Brian Daboll coming out of Buffalo, etc. Got to talk about this guy. Usually I don't mention coaches, but you have to in this case. One advantage they do have in this one is this guy knows us very well. Wink Martindale, our former defensive coordinator, now D coordinator, for the Giants. Wink, we know what he's going to do. We've seen it here, and I've been looking at it, doing the same thing with the Giants. Lots of pressure up the middle, lots of cover zero. That's what he's doing. There's a couple former Ravens there. I saw Jahai Ward is there, Tom Jefferson, etc. So, and he's very familiar with what we do. So, Lamar Jackson is definitely going to have a lot of pressure in this game. Offensive line, the whole group is going to have to hold up because it's going to get a lot of pressure from odd places. That's kind of what Wink likes to do. When Wink was here, I just wasn't as big on Wink as far as a lot of other fans seem to be. I hear a lot of Greg Roman fire. When they got rid of Wink, I kind of wasn't. Wink is a good coordinator. It's not. He certainly does. Had some good rank. Had some excellent rank defenses. My problem with Wink was, and I repeated this several times. You're putting on all this pressure. Where are the sacks? You can't pressure all the time. You're supposed to be getting home, getting to the quarterback. Sorry about that. So Wink, you should be going ahead and getting to the quarterback. So Wink has a problem with that. He usually doesn't go home and get to the quarterback. So, and you're kind of seeing it in this defense. When I'm looking at it, you look at this guy, Dexter Lawrence, kind of a D tackle, leading them in sacks, 21 tackles, been very good for them. But they're kind of using exotic blitzes, kind of running a Wink Martindale type defense. So that's going to be what they have to do to beat the Ravens. They're going to have to win a game running the ball. Defensively, they're going to have to go old school against Lamar and the offense. I think Ravens easily win this game, despite the Giants' record. Giants are, I think they've kind of, I will say this, before that was a good win against Green Bay. This team is well coached on both sides. So I think that if anything this team is not going to quit. They're going to play to the whistle. I think the Ravens kind of have their way with these guys. I don't think the Ravens, if anything, are going to score points against most teams. I think they have the firepower to actually do that. I think it's going to work the other way. Understanding what Wink Martindale does is going to help the Ravens here. Two guys I really want to look at. Big difference here. Bateman plays or he doesn't play in terms of the pass game and the yardage. I think clearly there was a lot of clamoring this week. Matt Rule was fired from Carolina. And there was a lot of talk about bringing back DJ Moore to the Ravens. So that, I believe, is the type of trade they would do. But this is why it really looks different without Bateman in there as far as the passing game. So I think that's definitely the type of trade they would do. But Bateman, I think playing in this game matters because he's a difference maker. The rest of the receiving core is still not. Duvernay's had a good year, but he's more gadget-ish. The way they used him in the last game was perfect. A couple rushes, That's what you should be doing with the Devin Duvernay. But having Bateman play is critical. Now, fortunately, we lost Marcus Williams, for IR. So Harbaugh says he will be back this season. It's not season ending, but he is on injured reserve, IR. So he is going to miss 4 games. So Geno Stone is going to, I think, take his place. He took his place in the lineup. There's going to be some people. It's possible it could be Kyle Hamilton, but it's clear that they're playing this guy a lot. All the drafting, all the capital they've done, and here Geno Stone is more unheralded, getting time on the field. I think it's going to be Geno Stone replacing Hamilton. So we'll see, though. We'll see how this goes. Replacing Marcus Williams, rather. We'll see how this goes. I think Marcus Williams, that's a big loss. So they have big shoes to fill. But they, as bad as the pass defense has been, slightly improved the last few weeks, weirdly enough, it's not the secondary that I think is the biggest issue. It's the pass rush. So we'll see how they handle it without their best defender so far this year, arguably, Marcus Williams. So there you go. So we get ahead and did the review of the Ravens game, the previous game, and this game here coming up, the Giants. So definitely big stretch that the Ravens just had. Yeah, so now we're moving into division games. Now we're moving into the next phase of things. And so we're going ahead and getting that squared away. All right, so let's go. And we're going to talk about larger NFL content. So we're going to go talk about our big 5. There we go. So these are the 5 biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games. We talk about that every week. 3-2 last week. A little better. 12-13 for the year. Trying to come up for the year and preview these games and go over these big games with you. Here is a one that is in the AFC. AFC South. So we got the team that maybe going forward, up and coming, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they have the best quarterback in the division against the team that's been the best team, or one of the 2 best teams in the South, NFC South, the Jags, the Indianapolis Colts. I banged on the Colts a lot. Jim Irsay is a terrible owner, I think. Chris Ballard, I think the GM is equally as annoying. I definitely think the finger pointers. There's talent there, though. Maryland graduate Frank Reich, he's the one guy I really root for. I think he's kind of being – I don't think they've given him enough help. Matt Ryan looks awful. They won the game last week. Watching him throw the ball, it's sad almost to see how much velocity he's lost. I don't think they moved the ball enough against Jacksonville here. Lawrence is developing. I see in Jacksonville, though, they're very dependent on him. I don't see it on the other side and the rest of the team. Christian Kirk is come along really to help him, and I think the line is actually decent. But they are – I think in this division it's not very good. I think that might be enough. I like the Jags in this game to beat the Colts. The Colts still missing Shaquille Leonard. They haven't shown me enough to be consistent. They've won except for the win over Kansas City. They really haven't done much this year. All right. So Denver Broncos, and the Los Angeles Chargers are playing in this one. Come on, Russell. Come on, Russell. Come on, Russell. Come on. We just talked about the Colts, how bad the game was. Broncos lost it. That's even. Come on, Russell. I would say this. I've kind of defended Russell Wilson a lot of times because of what he's done. He's Hall of Fame level quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl, great statistically and everything. He's got to show up and be a leader. I watched the game with the Giants and they beat Green Bay, and I saw the way Aaron Rodgers acted after the game. He was mad. Where's the fire in Russell Wilson's belly? Stop saying the right things sometimes. This is now, he's no longer in Seattle. You're now in Denver. They paid you a lot of money. You're the star. You're definitely the team. He was in Seattle, even though he was the starting quarterback. He had Richard Sherman there, who, by the way, all the time freely criticizes. Again, I can't imagine that would happen on an Aaron Rodgers team or Peyton Manning team or time. Where they would just. That's kind of my point with Russell. I mean, maybe they're right. Are you? And this is more of a chat, Russell. I mean, let's show. I mean, I think here the Chargers are. Let me get to that. The Chargers, they're a team up and coming. They have a young quarterback, Justin Herbert. I think is sensational. I think they've been very good. I mean, they lost 2 games. I mean, I think they've been very good. One game, they lost a game in Arrowhead to Kansas City, and they lost, I think, to Jacksonville. I think Herbert probably shouldn't even been playing in that game because he was injured. And can you win a game like this? Are you show up and I like the Chargers doing this. Russell's very disappointing to me in terms of that. I didn't think they'd come in first, but better than what I've been seeing. Vikings and the Dolphins. So the Vikings are trying to show everybody that they can go ahead and overtake Green Bay in the NFC North. And the Dolphins, they're still probably playing, we don't know yet, without Tua Tagovailoa this week for sure, and maybe not Teddy Bridgewater. So got off to the great start. Can they finish? Can they continue on? These are 2 teams I think I kind of put the same category. They're trying to break into the elite category. They're trying to break into the elite category. They're you've been determined out. The supervisor's trying to make director, or they're trying to make. Can they get into the elite category? I'm going to take the Vikings here simply because of the quarterback situation in Miami. They're going to need more points. This Viking team can score. Whatever I said about Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson is phenomenal. Adam Thielen is a good running back. It's a good receiver as well. Their offense in general is good enough. So I think that'll be more than enough against the Dolphins team that I think is trying to break into the same category. Good opportunity though for both teams to really show that they can be in that next category. So I wish that with all due respect, with the late great Pat Summerall and John Madden were calling this one game of the year type stuff. So the biggest game, probably best game of the playoffs last year. 2 teams, two of the best records in the AFC, 2 Super Bowl favorites. Depending on the Bills, I mean, I think the consensus favored by a lot of people, the Chiefs, went to the AFC Championship game last year, been several years in a row. So this game, Bills and the Chiefs. Can the Bills get over the hump? And I think that's what everybody wants to see. They actually, and I don't really talk about point spreads, etc., on this channel, but Bills favored in this game. Surprising to me that they're favorite on the road against a team as good as Kansas City. So that's a bit of a surprise. Kansas City, I like them in this game. I think this is the one quarterback that can match firepower with anybody. And with Pat Mahomes, doesn't matter what the score is, doesn't matter what time the game is. You saw it in the later game last week. They were losing most of the game. They come back, they win. No problem. I think, in order to beat Buffalo, you have to have firepower to match their firepower. Not as much without Tyreek Hill, but there's enough there to go ahead and win. Buffalo, too, I think, is inconsistent in the ground game. I think changing when you're playing a Pat Mahomes, running the ball more might help them, and they never could seem to want to do that. They kind of almost forget about their run game, etc. Buffalo's defense is A+, outstanding. I don't think it's going to help them as much, but there is no shutting down a guy like Mahomes for a whole game, even with a really good defense like Buffalo. You're not going to go 4 quarters. You're not going to be able to, with him, get 10 points. 12. That's not going to. They're going to score, and I think the Chiefs go ahead and win this game at home. Had it not been for that game, this game I think might be the biggest on the schedule. The Cowboys and the Eagles. So we talk about teams that are surprising, like the Giants. These two teams are also surprising. Eagles 5-0. Cowboys, after losing the quarterback, are 4-1. Cooper Rush, there's even calls for him to keep the job for Dak Prescott. I don't know about that one, but this is a big game for both teams. This is for the leadership in the AFC and in the NFC East, especially if the Ravens are successful. I like the Eagles here. They're going to score a lot of points. Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal this year. In every aspect, it is MVP talk with him. I think he's maybe been best player in the whole league. He's really been good in all areas. I mean, we know he can run the ball, passing percentage way up, got excellent receiver. I always like their offensive line in Philly. Defensively, I think they get after it. Cowboys, I think, have a good collection of players. I'm not in love with Mike McCarthy as a coach. Good collection of players, though. Defensively, look, you have DeMarcus Lawrence, you have Micah Parsons, you have Tavon Diggs. You can win games with that. And I think this would be a close game, though. I think, though, because Jalen Hurts has been on such a roll, they're not going to fall asleep in a divisional game like this. So I like the Eagles at home. And a lot of times the Cowboys, big following, crowd noise, not going to happen in this one. They're going to be Eagle crazy in that one. So I like the Eagles in that one. So there you go. Big five. So that is going to be our big five, and we'll definitely check out all the games this weekend, or as many as you can over the weekend. So definitely go ahead and check those games out. All right, so we're now going to move away from the NFL here and talk baseball with you. Okay, so this week we had MLB wild card games, and we had the division series on us this week as well. So definitely we had those games as well. First of all, MLB did get it right this year. I'm very critical of the way the MLB schedules everything. I think the way to do opening day is terrible. Why are they putting the schedule out before the season ends? Why not wait till see the marquee team so people can watch the game? You know, they do a lot wrong. They got this right. It was a great weekend of watching games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Games were outstanding. I thoroughly enjoyed the two games with Tampa Bay and Cleveland. That were fantastic. Tampa Bay, that one didn't go the way I thought. But it went well. I'll retract that. The result didn't go the way I thought. The games went pretty much how I thought. Tampa Bay struggles every year in the playoffs, as good as their pitching seems to be, with offense. When you go against the good pitching, especially like an ace like that, like Cleveland had out there, they kind of struggle in the postseason. So I thought they did. That kind of went. The series went high. I thought they would win, but the series kind of went like the type of game rather. That's the best way to put it. Went like I thought. It was a surprise that Seattle beat the Seattle Mariners beat Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays offense, they have a lot of offense. I like Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, etc. I think they have all those legacy guys in Toronto. Their pitchers, their top two pitchers, I thought they were good during the year. Manoah and Kevin Gausman, and they just didn't show up. I mean, that first game, Seattle, they just jumped all over them. They scored a lot more than I thought they would, considering. And that kind of shows that they really didn't have an ace, because that to me is where the ace makes their money in game one of the playoffs. That's where that shows up. So I didn't really expect that. But props to Seattle. You know, I don't think they have a lot of offense. I don't think they're – I'll go over the next round here. I have a graphic for that. But I thought they did. It was impressive to me. In the NL, when I saw it, let's go Mets first in that series against San Diego. I thought that was probably the best series. I mean, that went all 3 games. Buck Showalter, that was weird. Having him check the guy's ear for a foreign substance, etc. That's competitive, trying to win a game, whether that's true or not. So I thought that was very, very weird in general. The biggest takeaway I have for that is how big of a difference that made. Mets, the team, actually in the division, leading most of the year, dropped down to the wild card in the last couple of days, and now they're out. They won 100-plus games because they had to play in the wild card, and they fell behind the Braves surge. So that was huge. San Diego, I think, look, 2021 season, they prepared for this. They brought in Yu Darvish. They brought in Joe Musgrove. They brought in Blake Snell. They were supposed to have a year like that last year. They kind of struggled. They were under 500, I think, too. And this year they lose, I think, maybe the best player in all of baseball, Fernando Tatis. And they had an excellent year and an excellent playoff series. That's the beauty of the playoffs. And they built for this. So they've been waiting for this as a while. Mets won 100 games. Scherzer, come on. I mean, $30 million, do a little better. Do a little better. I understand you're 1,000 years old at this point. Come on, man. Buck doesn't hasn't got to a World Series. So, again, they were eliminated. They were definitely eliminated in this series as well. Philadelphia also was a surprise. We're going to talk Phillies and Cardinals. Philadelphia Phillies. Good to see Rob Thompson here. I think this is one of the cases to why you fire a man, why you get rid of a manager. Joe Girardi comes in with a lot of pedigree. This is at the beginning of the year. Comes in with a lot of pedigree, a lot of history. He was a Yankee, The team wasn't winning. They get rid of him, and they hired the total opposite guy. They hired Rob Thompson, and it's worked. Here's a guy who was career assistant, older guy, and all they've done is win games since then. And I thought they beat the best run franchise in all of baseball, St. Louis Cardinals. So props to them. They can hit. Schwarber and Harper especially, they really are good hitters, and they can hit. St. Louis, I think too. It's first of all, let's give a hand to Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina. I think they're going to be retiring. There's a chance Adam Wainwright may retire as well. So we'll see how that goes. But they are. It's going to be tough for them to beat the Dodgers. I wonder if they play over their heads sometimes. Like if they win a lot of games during the regular season, but they seem to well in the playoffs a lot. So there you go. So we're talking about the wild card. So right now we're starting. They did go ahead and start the next round, the ALDS, American League Division Series, best of 5. And we're talking about I'm going to say Guardians, not Indians. Okay, so Cleveland Guardians. Trying to keep saying that. I keep trying to not say the other word there. Cleveland Guardians against the Yankees. I think the Yankees are a bit overrated. As good as their pitching is, they have an excellent rotation. I can't imagine they would go 4 or 5 games and not pitch well. Garrett Cole is making a lot of money, sure, and I can't imagine I don't think what the Guardians did in that series. They didn't score. A lot of runs. Tampa Bay didn't score any. They scored 2 runs and 3 runs in all those innings, so they're definitely going to have to score more. I think the Yankees' offense is a bit of a paper tiger, though. Judge is obviously beyond phenomenal this season. Probably winning the MVP, hitting the 62 home runs. And the Yankees, getting as far as they got. I think there's too much pitching in this for the Yankees. They've had a chance to set up the rotation, and they should win this series. 5 games matters too. Then the big difference between 5-game series and a 7-game series of 3. Let's see here. Also, Seattle, they were again surprised going against Houston. I don't think it went so well in the first game for Verlander. So he's got to go ahead and show up. I don't like their pitching as much as it's been during the year. I think, I'm not as sure about that. I don't think we're going to continue to see all this Seattle offense though that we saw in that series. Julio Rodriguez, I think, is outstanding player. I think he's probably the best young player, one of the best young players, period, in all of baseball. I think the Astros have been here before, and they go ahead and they should have enough offense to go ahead and take care of business in this one. This is the matchup we thought we would get. We've all been waiting for the Padres, San Diego Padres, and the Dodgers. Dodgers, to me, were as far away as a professional level team as far as being from the pack as any team in recent years in any sport. It kind of reminded me of the Bulls years ago, when the Bulls and when they had Michael and Scotty and all, they were just way away from the rest of the NBA. And I think the Dodgers are here as well. As good as San Diego is, I think, though, one thing that will hang in, San Diego knows them well in the same division. I think there's too much pitching with the Dodgers to go ahead and do it. Too much experience. Dave Roberts, I love Dave Roberts. He's one of my favorite managers in all of baseball. But I like the Dodgers here. I think they're talent-wise, they're just too far ahead. Padres haven't been here before. I think that matters. So I like the Dodgers in this series, best of 5. And here's a team that won the World Series last year. It's another team with high expectations. The Phillies at the beginning of the year. Braves, I think, are as flawless as you get. They have good rotation, good starters, offense off the charts. Austin Riley, third baseman, first baseman, Matt Olson. They're as good as you get in all of baseball. They can hit good defensively. Robert Acuna, Junior Ozzie. I mean, they're about as complete as you get. Phillies, not as complete, but really good. I really like Bryce Harper. Really like Bryce Harper. I think he's still so underrated as a player. But it's hard for me to go against the Braves here. Braves, they never have 2 bad pitching performances. They never have 2 bad pitching performances ever. And I don't know if the Phillies have enough pitching to go ahead and take them down. I mean, only concern with the Braves for me is the 9th inning. What's left with Kelsey Jansen? What's left? Got rid of him. The Dodgers got rid of him. That would be my concern. I mean, it's not like he's been terrible either, but I'm kind of that for me is the one thing. The close playoff games go into the 9th inning. All right, so there we go. Great week of baseball. Outstanding. October, I think, is the best month in sports, hands down, as a whole. So there's Major League playoffs going on. There's full NFL action going on, college and pro as well. We just had NHL starting. NBA is going to be starting actual games. As good as it gets. So October. So one of the best months in sports. And let's go to this. We're going to recap the Orioles season. So the Orioles, my favorite year in baseball was 1989. Showing my age. Showing my age, the best year of baseball was 1989. The Why Not Orioles. This was about as close as we ever going to get. We got to that since then. They didn't win the division. They didn't come in first place, but it was exciting. It was really needed in this current situation. The Orioles were horrible years ago. They have horrible ownership. Uh, we question who the owner even is. Uh, that's a whole nother situation that we could go on. So who is the owner of the team? The Angelos family, that drama. I'm gonna go into that a little bit.
John's not letting me go far.
Excuse me. So we got the owner. We're questioning who the owner even is. At that point, a lot of issues. I went to a game for the first time, Oriole game for the first time in a couple of years, and I don't live in Baltimore anymore. So going through downtown, etc. Downtown looks different. Harbor Place, Lex. I'm not going to make this a whole political thing about and it's not just a Baltimore thing. Downtown in a lot of cities is struggling, but to the point with the Orioles, they needed this. You needed to win to bring people back. I'd like to see people come back more. I think winning will do that. I think winning will actually help the whole downtown, help people come back downtown, help the whole city and that downtown area. And they definitely, absolutely did that. I'm going to do a more position by position review, but definitely I want to talk about the obvious. Adley Rutschman. We've been waiting for so long for Adley Rutschman to come up to the major leagues. Met every marker, met every expectation. He's everything we heard he was. He's a leader on the field. He's a good hitter. He's hits for power. The sky's the limit, I think, with Adley. I mean, the only question with him is I don't know. The only negative, I mean, it's not even negative. Is he going to be an elite power hitter? That's the only thing I think that might not happen with him. He's going to do everything else. Phenomenal catcher. You can argue he's the best catcher in the American League right now. Definitely, he's my bet. If I had to bet the All-Star game, he's going to be the All-Star catcher. Could be. How big a star is he going to be? Yeah, that's a question as well. But Adley was everything we hoped for coming up. The record was much better. I think I'm talking about, I'll be remiss without talking about, I think, our two young stars, Gunnar Henderson and Ryan Mountcastle. I'm going to put Mountcastle in the star category. I don't care if y'all don't like it. Mountcastle, I still don't think we've seen the best with him. He swings at way too much garbage, but I thought he was a big reason why. He's a real, you have to have in baseball, you can have all the Ozzie Smiths that you want. You can have all these guys. You need a guy standing up there with plate presence. And he has that. He has the best plate presence at the plate. You use two more old school guys. You can have a Mookie Wilson, who runs around the base, hits well, and runs fast. But then you need a Darryl Strawberry to come up, who stands there and just looks imposing. That's a guy that you have with Mountcastle. Certain guys just have that. So I think the best is yet to come with him. Gunnar Henderson still has rookie status. He doesn't feel like a rookie, does he? And so he's definitely easy favorite to win rookie of the year next year. He's phenomenal already. Tremendous bat speed. I think he had a great last month of the season. Can he sustain that over the whole season? But there's nothing I've seen that makes me think that as well. So those are our young guns on offense. Adley Rutschman won the most valuable Oriole. This channel went ahead, gave it to Anthony Santander in terms of offensive players because he had 33 home runs. So I thought he was your best offensive player. I have no idea what's going to happen with him going forward. He's good. He's been really good. The only thing that's kind of like we talked about with Saquon Barkley, health with him. Can he stay healthy enough to be effective? But that's the only flaw I think he's ever had. So Orioles there on offense, I think, though, would need to add some players if you really want to compete. And we'll see how that goes. Brandon Hyde's been a good manager as well. Um, Social media, I saw a lot of Buck Britton. He was the manager at Bowie, I believe, and at Norfolk. He's managed a lot of these young stars that are coming up now through the organization, Grayson Rodriguez, etc. So there's a lot of calls for him to be manager. I think they're crazy if they let go of Brandon Hyde. Brandon Hyde has been phenomenal for them. Brandon Hyde has done a great job as manager. So I think Brandon Hyde should be the manager going forward. I would give him an extension. I like what I've seen. He's a leader of men. Uh, Players like him. He's authoritative. He's good at the podium. He's good speaking to the media. I mean, he was very comfortable speaking to me. Good representative for the organization. So I really like him a lot. He's locked in for next year as well. So he's definitely locked in for 2023. Michael Elias, the general manager of the Orioles. Uh, Mike Elias, I think, is jury has been still out. You gotta like what you see. All this losing has caused some great draft picks. DL Hall, like a first round pick. I think Grayson was a first round pick. Adley was a first round pick. Uh, and he gained fruit from that. So the strategy did work. And you could argue they had no choice but to do, but it's worked. Amen. The process works. Like quote Philadelphia 76 for you. Their process has worked. It's done well, and they're getting young players, and you got to give him credit for that because he did that. He was the one that said, "Hey, got these young players that got the drafting," and I think Michael Elias. I think he's more likely to stay in the long term than Brandon Hyde as GM. Unless they actually, if we're all lucky enough, they change ownership groups. The other last thing here, the pitching. I mentioned that it's a bit of a concern for me going forward. This year, the bullpen was phenomenal, especially those three guys on the back end, Dylan Tate, Perez, and now Batista. I think Felix Batista is going to be your closer for years to come. You're definitely that. I think the biggest get going forward. I think their bullpen, you never know with bullpens from year to year. Last year they were terrible. This year they were outstanding, one of the best in the league. So you never know. I think, though, Batista going forward is going to be one of your building blocks. I talked about plate presence, mound presence. This guy's intimidating in the mound. Throws hard, looks the part, consistent. I think he only had the one game where I saw where he wasn't in. I think towards the end of the year. He struggled, but I think he's definitely going to be your guy for years to come. Starting pitching needs some help. Jordan Lyles, I think, was better than we hoped. Jordan Lyles did a good job, I thought, this year. But he's not an ace. I just won't hear that part of it. He's not an ace. He's an innings eater, mid-rotation starter. See if they keep him. It's going to cost them $11 million. This is I think that's almost twice, reportedly $11 million, twice of what he was getting this year. So let's see if they actually do that. I think they might. Hopefully, they got bad news with John Means. I heard again. He's probably been the best starter the last few years. Indeed, Kramer, he's the one guy for sure I'm a pencil into the rotation somewhere. He turned this whole thing around. I mean, he was horrible last year. Turned the whole thing around. I thought he was definitely your most consistent guy in terms of that. So shout out to Dean Kramer for that. I don't think you can continue, though, to have bullpen so much better than your rotation. You have to have starters. I think starting pitching is the lifeblood of any really good team for years and years. So I thought, though, we all should be happy with what we saw this year. So 83 wins. Thank goodness. We got a lot to look forward to. Having a business predicated on Orioles content, and it's good to see a good Oriole team. So thank you. We're all thankful for that. Okay, so thank you very much for that. So we're going to go ahead and recap the season. That was a recap. We'll do other more in-depth things with that. Like next week, we're going to go positional players. So we're going to talk more about the positional players on the team. So we'll deep dive a little bit more into Adley, Mountcastle, Mateo, the futures, etc. We'll kind of go into that next week with that. Also too, we're going to go into the divisional round, the rest of the divisional series. We'll talk about that, and then we're going to be going into MLB Championship Series. So marching on towards the World Series, we're going to go ahead and recap this game that we're going to have on Sunday with the Giants. So we're definitely going to go ahead and recap that game as well. And also, too, going forward, we're going to go ahead and look at the Browns now. So Browns still without Deshaun Watson going forward. They're going to be playing the Ravens again. So let's see how we do in that. So thank you all for watching with our video this week. Sorry we're a little late, but hopefully we can you enjoyed it and you can get squared away. Thank you for watching our Ravens Sports broadcast this week. You have a great day.